Article number 3. Sorry for my scratchy voice. Shall the Hooksett School District vote to approve a tuition agreement with Pinkerton Academy for the education of some of Hooksett High School students, which provides for a 10-year term beginning July 1st, 2016, that will automatically be extended for an additional 5 years, every 5 years, until notice of an intent not to extend the agreement is provided by one of the parties, and further calls for Hooksett to send Pinkerton a number of students equal to the average number of students Hooksett sends to attend Pinkerton in the prior 3 years, and for Hooksett to pay tuition based on Pinkerton's operating cost per high school student in an amount equal to tuition charged to other Pinkerton sending districts, and for a Hooksett resident to be appointed as a member of the Pinkerton Academy Board of Trustees. And further, to authorize the school board to take such other and further actions as necessary to carry the tuition agreement into effect, including the adoption of minor amendments to the agreement from time to time during its term, without further action by the school district meeting. Do I have a motion?
I think we've already voted to put this on the ballot.
Oh, so it's a formality? Do we have to?
Are we going to vote to recommend or not?
Okay. Can I have
We voted to put it on the ballot, and and Dave voted a motion to approve of, right?
Yeah, so I suppose we could just change that to recommend. I'll make that motion that we recommend our warrant Article 3, the Pinkerton tuition agreement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Yes, John?
Yeah.
Dave.
I think, I think this is very similar to the vote that we took about approving it or not, but I think to get the right language, that recommend is in this motion, so that's why I made it.
Thank you.
The only comment is I was looking at the contract and the warrant article, and it almost looks like the warrant article was written before the last change that was negotiated when you guys came back from Pinkerton, because it was in section 3C where we changed the language to be very specific to the 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders as setting that average percentage. And if you read the warrant article, it says, and further calls for Hooksett to send Pinkerton a number of students equal to the average number of students Hooksett sends to attend Pinkerton in the prior 3 years. Those two things are not the same. This one here, I mean, could be definitely interpreted as all of the kids that Hooksett sends Pinkerton in the prior 3 years, which is what we had in the agreement just before this change. So
Yeah, but this is Todd.
Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, the warrant is supposed to talks to only the agreement that we as a board approved to be moved to the ballot, which is the agreement that was brought before the board.
right, and what I'm saying is the language that we're bringing to the voters does not represent the contract that we're bringing to the voters. And I just want to make sure that we're very clear with the warrant article we bring to the voters that it represents what we've negotiated.
Dr. Littlefield? Hang on, Todd.
What's that?
Hold, Todd.
Sometimes when you hear it, you hear things you don't see. And I picked up the same thing as Amy was reading that. And I'm wondering if, and that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7th line down. It's all one big run-on sentence. Maybe that's line should say students equal to the average number of freshman students Hooksett sends to attend Pinkerton in the prior 3 years.
Well,
Shouldn't we insert percentage? Not.
Yeah, that's,
I might even make a further restriction, because it's not even students. We're committing to a minimum financial enrollment. You know, we've discussed this, that it may not be students, it may just be money that we send down. which this warrant article doesn't address.
Dave?
Well, I think that numbers needs to change to percentage because that's important, but also I find the end of that kind of confusing because it says send to Pinkerton in the prior 3 years. That sounds more like the idea we heard the other night that every year when we're sending, we're looking at the average of the prior 3 years. I think it should say in the first 3 years or year 1 through 3 of the contract.
But
Because this more sounds like that rolling thing, because in year 7, are you sending based on 654?
can we put
Prior 3.
in 20?
Yeah, it's beginning in year 4. The average percentage
It's
in the
fixed.
prior 3 years. So we just need to agree on how we word that.
Well, I would even argue a little with that, because I would agree with you that in year 4, it's the prior 3 years. But in year 7,
It's
you
year
can't
4.
use prior 3 years.
It's
I think
it's
you have
fixed
to-
after 2019, 2020.
Year 1 through 3 would be a better description than prior.
Instead of
And-
prior, to just put first.
This could also lend to people wondering, which people have been wondering, are we counting these 2 years that we're in now prior to this
Yeah.
contract? But that, if you read that and it says the prior 3 years, are we, it's not, we're not into the contract now. So I think it's got some definite confusions.
Amy,
Yes, Jim?
it looks like, I think we need to be clear on how we word this, but there's only certain aspects of the 6-page contract that is mentioned to that. So the question is, there must be a way to reference that, shall the voters approve the contract that was negotiated by the school board for their consideration, because there's a lot of aspects of this warrant, the wording, it does include all those different components that are in there, and why only a certain portion of that. And I don't want to have a confusion where this one, the wording here is contradictory to the wording that's actually in the full contract, and we're not posting the full contract in the warrant article.
That's a good
So
point.
so how would that be? I think we should just reference to the contract that was approved by the board for them to consider, not, because we're only including like 3 aspects of this contract, like membership, 10 years, rolling amounts. There's a lot of other aspects that we're not including in the warrant. Why would that not be?
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
So, do we make suggestions as to how to write it, or?
Is this a time when we have a chance to edit it, or is that not a good idea?
Well, I think that the warrant article, the wording of that was written by our attorney. So I'm wondering, though, if John hit it on the head, if he wrote this before that final change was made. I think you've got to address the final change. I'm not concerned about the other things because I don't think you can put every provision in there. I think Gordon went through it and tried to come up with the provisions that he thought were pertinent for the public to debate. But I do believe that, as Mr. Liscas has pointed out, that average number needs to be tweaked a little bit. I don't think it's terribly difficult, but
Well, I just jotted some notes, but I think I can make a motion out of it, going from the contract. The motion would be,
Well, John, let's remove.
Oh, yeah.
Remove my motion to recommend warrant Article 3.
And remove a second?
I'll remove my second.
Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to modify warrant Article 3, beginning on line line 6, right after where it says, and further calls for Hooksett, and replace to send Pinkerton a number of students equal to the average number of students Hooksett sends to attend Pinkerton in the prior 3 years. Replace that with, and further calls for Hooksett to commit to a minimum financial enrollment set as the average percentage of its 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders.
Hang on. Are you caught up? Hang on, John, go slow.
Yep,
Minimum financial enrollment.
set as the average percentage of its 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders in the academy in years 2016 to 2019. And then it flows, the rest it flows.
I'll second that motion.
Can I hear it again? From her.
Is to modify warrant article 3, beginning with line 6, where it states, and further calls for Hooksett to commit to a minimum financial enrollment set as the average percentage of its 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders in the academy in years 2006 to 2019.
Year 19 is when that average kicks in. Yeah. So it's really 2016, 2017, 2018.
Well, yeah, I was just trying to, it's, in the contract, I got the wording from the contract. It lays out 2016, 17, 2017, 18, 2018, 19. So we can do that if we don't mind making it longer.
Hang on one second. Dr. Littlefield?
Hey, can I be recognized?
I don't see your hand. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Todd.
I was just thinking that there was a slide on the presentation at the forum that kind of nailed down the pieces that I think Mike had, right?
Right.
Do we have that available?
Not
Which slide you talking about?
for the
One where
board.
you nailed down the pieces. Because I think you had the dates on that one.
I think we would be okay if we said 2016 to 2018 because we have to notify them by November 1st, and that would be the final average number.
2016 to 2018. As long as we say 3 years.
Hang on one second.
Could I read to the board what that actual contract language is?
Okay.
It says, it is specifically agreed that beginning in the 4th year of the agreement, that is during the school year 2019-2020, the district will commit to a minimum financial enrollment set as the average percentage of its 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders in the academy in the years 2016, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, period. Set minimum financial enrollment percentage will remain thereafter fixed for the duration of the agreement. Maybe you should take that whole thing.
I think we should cut and paste. I'm always in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I was trying to fit it into his language.
So let me remove my second to your motion, John.
I'll remove the motion.
Okay.
And
Hold on one second. Jim?
that was my point. We need to, if we're going to refer it to the contract, we should make sure it's not contradictory. So I think we should take that information that comes right out of the contract and put it right into the thing. So where that would be, I assume it would be starting at that and further, or whatever it is. So I think that's where is that where that?
Line 6.
Yeah.
And further?
After the 5 years. 5 years, every 5 years, unless a notice of intent to extend agreement is provided, and then refer to what that. I think that's because the less confusion we have written down, the less chance for more questions and more confusion. So.
Are you following, Todd?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would make a motion to include the wordage in the warrant and extract that from the contract as stated by Dr. Littlefield.
Second.
Any discussion? Are we okay with approving or recommending without actually seeing?
Just putting it in now.
She is.
Oh, you're talking the exact.
I mean, I'm okay. I just want to make sure you guys are okay.
And then after the wordage, if I may, the wordage of what Dr. Littlefield just said, we would get to, and for Hooksett resident to be appointed as a member.
Yes.
So we're going to take that middle section, and is that correct?
Beginning with the words "to send."
Okay.
And ending with the words "prior 3 years,"
Right.
we will substitute Article 3, Section C, verbatim.
All the way to such minimum financial rules as will thereafter remain fixed. You want that whole next sentence as well,
Yeah.
right? You didn't read that, so I just curiously.
I think we should.
Yeah, she's saying the whole paragraph.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that makes sense, because we're not, someone will say, why does it say this here and the contract says this? And putting exactly in makes the most sense. It avoids confusion. And
The only thing about that motion is verbatim in the contract, the last sentence says, and set forth in paragraph 14 herein. So if you put that wording in the warrant article, it's not going to make any sense to the voter.
So referring to C, it should end after the word "reached."
Yep.
So we're leaving off as set forth in paragraph 14 herein. So the period, or the end of that thought comes at the word "reached." I just want to make sure Karen's got all this.
I'm just gonna have Leanne send me what she's doing right now.
Oh, she actually.
You're doing it right in the warrant, right?
Yeah.
So can you just send that to me afterwards? Perfect.
Then let me know when you're finished, because I'd like to have it read again.
Even better.
So while she's working on that, I just want to bring to the board's attention something else.
Related to that,
Well, actually, we should vote on Jim's motion, right? We have it on the floor.
Okay, yep.
but part of I want to hear it before
Oh,
I vote on it.
I think she should make note that I finally got a motion in.
Okay. Jim has a motion in.
And Todd wasn't here to
That
witness
doesn't.
it.
All right.
Send. I'm gonna take out Pinkerton. I'm gonna take out Pinkerton, the number of, send Pinkerton, the number of students, equal the average number of students, send Pinkerton, all the way down to. Three years, I got it, all right. Motion was Jim, I think, all right?
Yes.
It was Jim and Dave.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so you want me to read the whole article is, shall the Hooksett School District vote to approve a tuition agreement with Pinkerton Academy for the education of some of the Hooksett High School students, which provides for a 10-year term beginning on July 1st, 2016, that will automatically be extended for an additional 5 years, every 5 years, unless notice of an intent not to extend for an additional 5 years, every 5 years, oh, I just read that, extended. The agreement is provided by one of the parties and further calls for Hooksett to send, okay, it's take, for Hooksett to commit to specifically,
No, I think to call for Hooksett, comma, and then beginning in the 4th year of the agreement,
Oh.
right?
something went off the rails.
So, and further calls for Hooksett to agree that, is that how we want it? To agree, take out specifically, to agree that beginning in the fourth year of the agreement, that is during 2019, 2020, the district will commit to a minimum financial enrollment set as an average percentage of 8th grade students who enroll as 9th graders in the academy in the year of 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019. Such minimum financial enrollment percentage will thereafter remain fixed for the duration of the agreement unless the parties otherwise mutually agree to a change which may be reached. And for Hooksett to pay tuition based on Pinkerton's operating costs for high school students in the amount equal to tuition charged to other Pinkerton sending districts, and for a Hooksett resident to be appointed as a member of Pinkerton Academy's Board of Trustees, and further to authorize the school board to take such other and further action as are necessary to carry the tuition agreement into effect, including the adoption of minor amendments to the agreements from time to time during its term without further action by the school district meeting.
I just have one question on that. When she read the dates, I didn't hear the 20th. I heard, so I should be 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20.
16.
16, 17.
It's 2016 to 17, 17 to 18, 18 to 19.
Right. That's right from the contract.
Okay, all right, because I was thinking, I got it.
And the fourth year is quoted as 2019, 2020.
Got it.
Leanne, if you don't mind, can you start it again?
Sure.
And you can stop. You can stop after the piece that deals with the tuition.
You want me to read from the beginning or just the change? You want me to read from the beginning?
Yeah, start at the beginning.
All right. Shall the Hooksett School District vote to approve a tuition agreement with Pinkerton Academy for the education of some Hooksett High School students, which provides for a 10-year term beginning on July 1st, 2016, that will automatically be extended for an additional 5 years, every 5 years, unless notice of an intent not to extend the contract is provided by one of the parties, and further calls for Hooksett to agree that beginning in the fourth year of the agreement, that is during 2019-2020, the district will commit
Excuse
to
me, Leanne.
Yep.
Hold 1 second.
I think we need to start again and go really slowly because a couple of the words have changed, like agreement has changed to contract.
Yeah.
I noticed that too.
So I think that we should go slowly, and if somebody picks up something that's not exactly as is written,
Put
like
your hand up.
we raise your hand. So,
Okay.
Because we also have.
yes.
You read contract when
Okay, one more
As
time.
long as I just read what it says. Right? Okay. Right. Shall the Hooksett School District vote to approve a tuition agreement with Pinkerton Academy for the education of some Hooksett High School students?
Let's stop.
Some of. Students.
read the word.
I'm new at reading. Which provides for a 10-year term beginning on July 1st, 2016, that will automatically be extended for an additional 5 years, every 5 years, unless notice of an intent not to extend the agreement is provided by one of the parties, and further calls for Hooksett to agree that beginning in the fourth year of the agreement, that is, during 2019-2020, the district will commit...
Stop. It says that is during the school year.
Okay. That is during...
The school year.
the school year 2019, 2020,
Yep.
the district will commit to a minimum financial enrollment set as an average percentage of the 8th grade. Oops,
Of its
I lost.
8th grade.
Percentage of its,
Okay, hold on, I just lost my thing.
And it's set as the average, not an average.
Financial enrollment set as the average
Yep.
percentage of its 8th grade students.
Mm-hmm.
8th grade students who enroll as 9th grade graders in the academy in the year 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019
That you did say years, right? In the years,
plural, more than one.
plural.
years. I said year, but years.
Okay.
Such minimum financial enrollment percentage will thereafter remain fixed for the duration of the agreement unless the parties otherwise mutually agree to a change which may be reached. You got it?
Oh, wait a minute.
You could leave out which may be reached.
Yes, and at change.
Agree to a change, period.
Doesn't change things.
Is that going to be a separate sentence? Because this is all one run-on sentence, and now we have that wording.
I think you're just going to have to put a semicolon in there somewhere.
Oh, from to agree? Yeah.
The semicolon after
Change.
years.
Change.
Yeah.
I'll have to change.
You're losing your doodad. It does make it sound funny, though. It just hangs. Agree to a change.
I thought mutually agree to a change.
Yeah.
I mean, there are rules to the mutually agreed change. Okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, so Jim's motion was to,
Amend the warrant as follows. We
okay.
read.
So is there any more comment from the board?
So I have another request for an amendment, but would you do this one separately and then request a second amendment?
Does your amendment change the original motion?
Yeah, the original motion?
Is
Well, if his motion is to include everything else, yes.
okay, let's hear it.
The only thing I saw was at the very end of this warrant, it says, without further action by school district meeting, by the school district meeting. I didn't know what that meant.
That's proverbially the deliberative session and the deliberative session 2.
Well, it means if there's minor changes in the contract, we don't have to bring it back to the ballot to approve those changes in the future.
So I guess my concern then would be, so I'll just give you a hypothetical. Let's just say, we get a bunch of Hooksett kids, they're all loving it, and so all of a sudden in the 5th year, Pinkerton says, well, why don't we just change this to a regular 90%, because you guys are sending 90% anyway. And so the board says, sure. So we change the contract to 90%, but then all of a sudden we have a drop-off.
That wouldn't really affect it because our average would still be our average that had already been set.
I don't know if that is a minor change.
I think that would be the argument. It wouldn't be minor,
Yeah, okay. I'm all right.
because it would be a big financial impact.
Okay, I'm all right with it.
I
then.
think if the reporting date changed, that
Yep.
would be mutually agreeable, something like that.
Okay.
So to Jim's motion to include the change that Leanne just read to us, can we vote? Everybody ready to vote?
You have a roll call, please?
And just one.
We're not, this isn't the motion to recommend yet, though, right?
Oh, we're just changing the motion. I'm sorry.
That's the question. This is the wordage that I would want to send to the voters. I would hope we would have a second motion to recommend.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. All those in favor of Jim's motion to change the wording signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Is there another motion?
Make a motion to recommend Warrant Article 3, the Pinkerton contract.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, do you want a roll call?
Yes, please.
Roll call. You want to start with Todd?
Jim Sullivan? Oh, you said Todd on the phone. Jim?
I'm going to abstain.
You're going to abstain?
Yeah, and I can tell you why, but I don't, but if you, but
Mike Berry?
Yes.
John Listars?
No.
David Pearl?
No.
Todd Lazat?
they wouldn't have gone.
Aye.
And Amy Bullard.
No.
So it's going to be not recommended. Yep, so it went down two to three to recommend, so you're putting not recommend. He said yes.
Okay.
Mike Berry said yes, everybody else said no.
Did Amy say no? Okay.
And he abstained, so you got three to
Right.
two to three, so motion
So it goes on the warrant
as
article.
not
It just
recommended.
doesn't have the
but
little.
Not recommended.
Have we decided, I know this is an age-old question, and do we put the vote on there, not recommended 2 to 3, or do we just put not recommended? I know there's been discussion about this over the different times.
Karen, and I'm going to defer to Karen, I know we can put a recommendation on,
You have not done so in the past.
Okay.
but they can.
They can, yes, but they have not done that.
I mean,
So we're just going to place it as not recommended, not showing the tally, is what I'm saying. Is that,
that's how I've always seen it.
okay?
Can I'm going to, I think we have, my understanding that we've always made recommendations on most things. So if we're not going to make a recommendation this, we shouldn't be making a motion to recommend the other ones, because okay, that would be my thing, so we need to be consistent. Now I'm going to tell you why I abstained.
I just say one thing, Jim?
Hold.
And I have to- okay.
Hold.
Okay.
I think there was a little confusion. I'm not saying don't put recommended. I was just talking about, sometimes I've seen them where they say not recommended 2 to 3.
Oh.
So that they see where the board was, or was the board unanimous, or whatever. So that was the question that I had.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Recommendation or lack of it is going on, but are we going to put that detail? And I thought I remembered there was some, I don't know if it was legal opinions about that, but that could or couldn't be. I just remember there being a difference about that. I have no preference, actually, which way it is. I just wanted to be clear that everybody at the board knows which way it's going to be represented.
Well,
Is this about the recommending?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, my preference is that you do put the numbers, because to me, as a voter, if I'm not following it and I see not recommended, I may assume it's a unanimous school board non-recommendation.
Not necessarily. We vote as a board, so whatever the vote is, it is. I mean, in this particular instance, we have an abstained and we have an absent, so the number doesn't reflect the number of the school board members to begin with. So it's either recommend or not recommend.
I make a motion that we simply state recommended or not recommended on the ballot
We have a
for
second.
for all of our warrants.
I'll second for discussion.
I think I see what John's saying, but I also can see Amy's point, and I guess we should decide. So I made the motion, and we can decide which way it goes.
John?
I mean, I'll try to make it a little more clear. You know, I'm trying to represent everybody in Hooksett, and there are people who want this to pass. Now, there are things about it that I don't approve of, which is why I voted against it. But at the same time, I want to support those folks that do want it to pass. So I want to show that there's support on the board. It's just not unanimous support. So that's why I think it's clearer, and it also shows the people who want it to pass that there is support on the board. So that was my reasoning for not wanting to make it generalized.
I think historically, we took a vote last week whether or not we approved of the contract. I think that would tell the voters how we felt individually.
I would agree with you if people followed our meetings and read our minutes and all that. They really don't. I mean, a lot, I think a majority of the people in the town, they'll vote and they'll see what's there right in front of them. They really aren't digging into the history. So
Okay.
I'm just trying to address the folks that come to vote who aren't following every detail and giving the benefit of the doubt that they can see a clearer picture if they see some votes for and some votes against. That's all.
Any other comment regarding the recommend or not recommend? I'll let you speak about your.
Okay,
Stay
no,
in the-
no, I was, okay, no, that was something else, but
The,
like, the reason why, if we're going to put a recommendation and it's not recommended, it's going to ultimately prompt a question from the audience. It was not recommended. Who voted to recommend it? What was the numbers? Because it could have been 4-3. It could have, and I think that by not putting that information it's going to prompt more questions. So because someone says not recommended, all right, who voted? Can I ask the moderator? May I ask the school board who voted yes and who voted no, or what was the numbers of recommendation? I think by not putting it there, all we're doing is prompting more questions and more deliberation, and it's going to get. So if we're going to do that, we should just put 3 to 2, 1 abstention against.
One absent?
So one. I mean, that's why. And the reason why I abstained is I thought we already voted for the for it. So I didn't want to now, because I just happened to attend. I could have been I missed out not attending because I was sick. That's business has it connected. By me voting again, and I have the right to do that, but I didn't want to be the one to say, okay, well, we voted for it, yes, and now because Jim happens to be at the next meeting, he then has the ability to stop it in tracks, and that's why I abstained. If that makes sense to everyone.
may I?
Dave?
Just to recap the last meeting, Jim, we took two separate votes.
Yes, I saw
clearly.
that.
And I'm the one that came up with this language, approve of, and we talked about that. So I think you could take this as a separate vote. This is recommend, not approve of. I'm the one that wanted to have that, not knowing necessarily whether we were going to have this vote. So I think John's got a good point that it's more representative to show what the split was than not. I think we would have to be consistent, though, if we're going to do it on this one, we got to do it on all of them. We pick one way, and I just want to make sure that we can. I have something lingering in the back of my head that this was an issue in some previous ballot, and I can't recall whether it was just preference or whether there was some issue or not with it. So
Todd, do you have your hand up?
What's that?
Do you have your hand up?
No, I'm still dumbfounded by the fact that we voted not to recommend.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm perplexed on what the heck this board wants to do in terms of a solution, and but I just say just assume put the numbers on and just leave it at that. I'm also perplexed why we even had an approved of motion. So it's all right. It's interesting.
Okay. Do we want to vote? Oh, yes.
Just a comment on what Jim was saying by missing the last meeting, attending this one. If you think about it, the warrant that we're talking about right here is significantly different than that last one because we made a major change to this language correctly because we're now reflecting what's actually in the contract. So if that helps you at all, it's a valid vote, and because it's a really new warrant.
And all I could say, either way, if I had voted either other way, it would have been tied. If I voted yes or voted no, a tie would have made it not recommended, and a vote of saying no. If I had done that, it would have been not recommended. So either way, it would have been dead on. Well, I don't mean to say that, but it would have been tied, and it wouldn't have been a recommendation ultimately. So, but let's let's go on to the next question then.
I'd like to remove my motion to place it on there as just simply approved or not approved.
I'll move my second.
I'd like to make a motion that we indicate on all of our warrant articles whether they're recommended or not by the board with a tally of the votes that produced those recommendations or non-recommendations.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I agree that we got to be consistent, and I've seen it enough on our ballots that I've seen the numbers of the votes, whether budget committee or I don't know where I remember seeing it, but I agree with David. If you're going to do it on one, you're going to do it on all of the ones that you bring to the ballot to be consistent.
Okay. Todd, do you have any comment?
Nope.
And I don't think that would reflect absent.
Okay.
You had mentioned that, I don't know if
Okay.
you, but I don't think you, in a tally, you would recommend, we don't say that here in our minutes
Okay.
for each vote, do we?
We don't. I think because there are absentees and because there's an abstention, that the board should understand very clearly how we're going to record it. Like, the budget recommendation is unanimous. That's easy. What do you want to appear here that says not recommended, and what numbers do you want to see there? There were 3, 4, 3,
2, 4, 3 against.
yeah, yeah,
2 what?
2, 4, 3 against, 1 abstention. Do you want
That's what I'd want on there.
I agree.
2,
Those
3,
were the
1 or 3, 2, 1?
As long as they're consistent on all the warrants.
Well,
7 and
that's,
0.
I want to make
6
sure
and 0.
that everybody understands. So it will be not recommended 2, 3, 1.
If the motion passes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Any other comment?
Yeah, and the RSA does allow them to indicate this. It's supposed to be a vote of the governing body to do this, but it says if the governing body has not indicated or voted on this as an entire town whether to have it, the board can indicate. Just so
Great.
you know, the law does state that. I can read the law.
Isn't the board the governing body anyways, and the voters are the legislative?
Yeah, the board is the governing, voters are the legislative, yes.
So, all those in favor of Dave's motion to put the tally for recommended or not recommended on our warrant articles, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So it passes.
I think as Leanne brings that back, I think I remember, that the town could pass a warrant that says you can't put them on there. And then I think we wouldn't be able to. If the legislative body passes,
Town, right.
yeah, but in the absence of that,
Because
then we
unless the
decide.
legislative body has voted otherwise,
Right, that's what it
town
was.
or school district has not voted to require such tallies to be printed in the town or school district warrant. Next to the affected warrant article, the governing body, which is you, may do so on its own initiative.
Okay. Everybody all set? We'll move to number 4.